So he said the clown can stay, but the Ferengi in the gorilla suit has to leave.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages.
Oh, the hell with it. Let's just start the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vern and Bob Star Trek show on the Star Trek Network. We hope everyone is doing well. I am Vern.
I'm Bob.
And we had a viewer request to scope over Star Trek Generations, the leap of the next generation onto the big screen, released in 1994. Bob, fond memories of this movie?
Yeah, I would say so. This was the first Star Trek movie I went and saw in theaters. I want to say if it was 94, I would be 11. Yeah, and I went with my dad. It's one of the very, very first real memories I have with Star Trek. And yeah, it's got sentimental value to me. So it's always held a little bit higher than maybe it should.
Well, how did you feel knowing that you were getting a double feature because you actually got some reused footage from Star Trek 6?
Yeah, you get that one also with the Klingon ship getting destroyed. That seemed like I would always remember that being when a bird of prey gets destroyed. It's the exact same one. It's
all
the
through the
exact
show,
same shot.
everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I remember I did not go to the theater to watch this, but I remember being very excited about it when it came out on VHS because it was a movie of my favorite show because I started with Next Generation.
Right, yeah.
So pretty amazing things. And as a younger lad, we kind of talked about it before the show, many big things took place in this movie that were very exciting for a younger male audience.
The Duras sisters did not disappoint in this movie. I will say that much.
I was talking about ostrich eggs, but I don't know what you're talking about. I really enjoyed eggs, and Captain Kirk cooks the eggs. What the hell?
Oh, that's right. The ostrich eggs. Yeah.
But anyway, 1994, magical year for Star Trek as the Next Generation moves onto the big screen. All good memories, but being an adult and having the show that we have, you find some things.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, and I said, when you go into it looking for things, you tend to find things that you kind of maybe glossed over when just watching it normally. Yeah, there's some things in there that get on my nerves a little bit, but I think reviewing this as a movie, instead of going from start to finish, we're just going to pick out some of the things we like, some of the things we didn't like, and kind of discuss it that way. I feel like that would be an easier way to do this.
The things, I'll start off with things that I like. The bridge of the Enterprise.
Oh,
darker, more cinematic, and actually had some upgrades. If you actually really pay attention, there's a whole, where you got Data sitting, there's a whole nother section built onto that wall right there of a station.
Yeah, they took those panels out on each side, and they literally, there's like a little platform now, and there's a workstation where two people can work. It's an interesting thing that they did. They really didn't focus on it much because you only see it a couple times when they're on the bridge.
Some of the most iconic moments were on that wall from the show with Q and Worf getting thrown down like he was a baby.
Yeah. Well, the ship itself is kind of one of my complaints about this movie. Okay. The Enterprise D does not look good in movie form.
In dark,
it looks like it is a TV. You know what I'm saying? Like a lower budget. I like the Enterprise D. It just doesn't look great. You needed something like the Enterprise E that looks a lot slicker. Not as bulky.
Big
just
screen,
looks like
presentation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Enterprise B for a second.
Yeah.
Apparently, nothing arrives till Tuesday. I hate that we couldn't get George Takei
Yeah.
in this movie. Although we do get, a child,
Oh, his daughter. Yeah.
his daughter, and it's funny because they've got Shatner spilling out lines of how good it is to have a Sulu on the board of an Enterprise, knowing that in real life those two just
Absolutely
do
disliked
not.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Looking back on it now, they weren't going to get Leonard Nimoy to have anything to do with this. By that point, he had done a couple episodes of TNG, and I think that was it for him.
he wanted to leave Spock alone.
Yeah, let it go. He did his couple, his two episode arc on TNG, and that was the end of it. So I get him not being there. I don't know about DeForest Kelly because that seemed like something that he might be a part of, and you could have had him, Scotty, and DeForest Kelly.
And then, a few other things on the B. Obviously, Tim Russ
Yeah.
being not a Vulcan on the ship.
No.
Because technically at this time, if I am not wrong, he is serving under Hikaru Sulu on the Excelsior.
Yeah, that would be correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tim Russ had also did, I want to say it was a season 6 episode of TNG called Starship Mine.
Mm-hmm.
It was the one where he was a part of a team that was trying to like cipher dilithium resin or something,
Mm-hmm.
so that they could sell it for weapons. And he had a small part on that. So it's not surprising because how Star Trek likes to reuse
Oh yeah,
guest stars. James Cromwell was all over TNG
all over
before
TNG.
before he hit it big with Babe and was one of the leads in First Contact.
The beginning of the movie had a few more cameos.
Yeah.
You of course got Jeanette Goldstein, who
Yeah.
was in Terminator 2, Aliens.
Small part in Titanic.
I do enjoy the Enterprise B though. I thought it was a pretty ship. I liked all the panels and everything. I thought it looked good.
You did kind of skip over one of the biggest cameos. Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Absolutely. Alan Ruck.
Alan Ruck, that's it.
Captain Harriman.
I had already known when we went to see this movie because I had already seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off. 10 years old. Who hasn't seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off? And I immediately recognized him. I said, "Oh, it's Cameron. It's Cameron. He's the captain of the Enterprise now."
And absolutely nowhere ready to sit in the chair of the Enterprise.
Oh no, he was like a fish out of water.
He should have been a lower deck officer.
Yeah, when you immediately turn to Kirk and go, "Oh, any suggestions would be," and he just springs out of that fucking seat like no one's business.
he had an ant in his pants. Or Scotty, is there something wrong with your chair?
I remember when I was in the theater watching that, and my dad just laughed and laughed. And when we left and were driving home, and he said that type of line was what made the original series so great. Just those tongue-in-cheek moments, like, "Captain, is there something wrong with your chair?" And he goes, it was such an original series line too.
Yep.
I got one for you.
Okay.
And since this is kind of jumping around.
Oh, well, I mean, we're going to jump around the whole movie.
Yeah. So do you think after the events that took place in this movie, when they're on the Farragut at the end, Picard's on the Farragut, he kind of grabs Geordi to the side and says, "Dude, we got to do something about this fucking visor. This is like the third or the fourth time that it almost completely fucked us."
I can't find the episode because I remember, I guess I could Google it.
Mind's Eye, yeah, where they took it and they brainwashed
it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, they kidnapped them, they brainwashed them by using it, and they were sending those signals, and it turned them into an assassin.
Yeah, but it was not so much in that clearer vision that they have in this one, because basically they put a
camera, basically, yeah.
And how do you get that through the transporter beam? I mean, come on.
I don't know, but I laughed because I was like, and then he turns up in the very next movie with his mechanical eyes. I said, was Picard very adamant about trying? He goes, "We really need to find a way to eliminate that
you
visor.
Are a security risk.
You are."
Which, that brings me to another technology flaw in the movie. Data's emotion chip.
This was always something that bothered me. Like, just like the two of him and Geordi just decide out of the blue they're going to put this emotion chip in him. without knowing what it could possibly do.
No testing,
Yeah. Just like, I've decided to do this, and there's Geordi with his tool case just trying.
Yeah, let's open it up and go. And now we got to go over and find trilithium.
Yeah, and it turns him into an absolute lunatic, laughing at literally everything.
Make it so.
I'm not saying that I dislike Brent Spiner's performance here. I
think
this
scene took it out of the movie. It didn't need
it. It didn't. He did what he basically was told to do, but 100%, it takes you out of the movie. It really does. It's so. At first, it's funny. Oh my God, Data's got emotions. But then after about 15 minutes of this, you're just like,
yeah, give me the scene in 10 Forward.
Yeah, do that. That was perfect. That's all you had to do. Yeah.
Give me the scene where he goes, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
when the saucer's going down, and then give me the whole yes whenever.
Well, they had to, and I'm guessing they had to do this scene so that they can set up that it's malfunctioning. That's why he's acting the way it is. But I feel like it went on too long.
But then why do you take Geordi and not him? If you've got him, he would have been a much better prisoner.
Oh, he wasn't trying to do anything. You could have just walked over to him and got him. I mean, you could have. I don't know why they didn't take both of them.
Right.
To be perfectly honest with you, He just walks by Data and looks at him like, "How pathetic are you?" and just continues on. You would think getting your hands on an android would be better.
Which, this scene brings me up to my next point. Even though I noticed it all through the movie, even after the scene where they're at sea, which I really liked the sea version of the Enterprise.
Yeah, that was a great. I like that. Yeah,
even though holodeck parameters still make no sense to me, but this is the point I'm trying to make.
Oh Lord.
This is Riker the whole damn movie. Just messed up hair the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, either cut it or don't.
I don't know. I know what you're saying. I don't know what they were what they were doing with that one. Yeah.
I liked you better without the beard. Or I've never kissed you without a beard.
Yeah.
Beard. God, his hair was horrible during the whole movie.
It looked awful. I'm with you on that one. Malcolm McDowell's performance.
Absolutely.
He was fantastic in this movie, as he's fantastic in basically anything he does. But he did very well. I no complaints. And if I can give Star Trek movies one thing, especially TNG movies, their guest stars are fantastic. Like they're people that they bring in that's not regular cast. I wouldn't call them guest stars but you know what I'm saying. Here you have Malcolm McDowell. Next one you have James Cromwell and Elfrey Woodard.
And that's a power combo in itself.
And then after that, she was fantastic. And then you have F. Murray Abraham. Even though he's under that shitty makeup, he's
still an amazing villain.
Still really good. And even in the last one, you have a young Tom Hardy that's fucking amazing.
I thought he played a very good
younger Picard. Yep.
And
absolutely,
you could believe it in seeing how they played Jack Crusher. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally could believe that was a young Picard.
I liked Nemesis.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's fantastic. Even young Tom Hardy.
But here's the thing about Malcolm McDowell is he was in the middle of doing other projects in the sci-fi world. He was making Wing Commander 4 or Wing Commander 3 with Mark Hamill, the video game.
Such a great franchise.
Yeah, the 3 and 4 were my favorite.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When you had the cutscenes,
but he was doing Wing Commander 3 and 4, and also filming a Star Trek film, and still gave an amazing performance. So one thing I really liked about this movie was the introduction to the stellar cartography, which would later become more of a staple point to Voyager with 7 of 9. But I loved that room.
I like that as stellar cartography. I like it better than probably what Voyager had, but I get it. It's a movie. You can do a lot
Right.
bigger sets.
And it was more, as far as the technology, you could say it's more detailed in Next Generation than Voyager because Voyager's in the
Right.
Delta Quadrant and they don't know anything.
Right. But I like that. And another thing I enjoyed about this movie, and you see it a lot at the beginning, the lighting of this movie is
Oh,
just
yeah.
amazing. So when they go to that station and they got the sun, like the star right
Yeah.
there, the lighting that comes in,
10 forward was gorgeous.
10 forward looked amazing. His ready room looked
Mm-hmm.
fantastic with it made it look, more real than the artificial light you got
Yeah.
in the series, where it's just that one color. It looked fantastic.
Yeah, the shot of the Enterprise being there, everything. There's only one spot in space that I did not like the lighting, and it's when the Enterprise was going to the Viridian system. When the ship was coming around, it looked too CGI.
Yes, yeah,
It
and that's what I was
was
kind of
too
saying.
whitewashed, I think.
Yeah, and that's what I kept saying. Like when you would see the Enterprise D, it just looked off. It didn't look great as like a movie ship.
Right.
Where you could sync, because you couldn't really change. I mean, you could change some stuff, but it had to look a certain way because that's how the ship looked,
Yeah.
and it kind of just looked out of place a lot of the movie.
I'm gonna harp on this, and I'm gonna harp on something else. The battle scene between the Klingon bird of prey and the Enterprise. They get off one torpedo.
Yeah.
It hits the star drive near the torpedo launcher. Yet everybody on, like, all these bulkheads and everything start exploding on the bridge.
So yeah, I liked the exterior battle scene. It looked good. It looked, but yeah, it exactly. It hit like the front over by the deflector dish.
It hit right above the torpedo launcher.
Yeah, and there's people in engineering flying around, and it's nowhere near engineering.
Nowhere near engineering. Definitely nowhere near the bridge, and the walls are exploding on the bridge.
There was,
because that's when Deanna has to get on the helm. Like, for what?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. And there was a lot of, yeah, but there was a lot of continuity errors going on in this movie. It just, like I said, it's kind of something we probably have glazed over every time we watch it because we've seen it so many times. You're kind of just there when you're watching it.
And we love the movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But then when you're actually sitting there looking at the movie, you pick up so much more. And it's just it's like we always say, it's these little nitpicky things that we find. And they're not bad. They're just annoyances.
Yeah.
That's what they
kind
are.
of what this show's becoming. We love to nitpick. We wouldn't talk about it if we didn't love it. But
no. And it's, if you can't be the hardest on the thing you love,
All right. Now I'm going to give you my biggest gripe of the movie.
Okay.
Biggest plot point gripe.
Yep.
Kirk did not have to die.
No.
And let me tell you why. Once Picard realized that they were defeated when he brought Kirk back.
Yeah.
Just let Soren
just keep repeating.
You have the knowledge to go back, and you could go back a fraction of a second, however much before. Hell, go back before the Enterprise gets all beat all to hell.
Yep.
And fix it.
Yeah. They could have repeated that scenario hundreds of times, and still they could have gone back to right after,
They could have went back to Amagosa.
They could have went back and before that and not saved them off that ship, and then you would never have had this problem to begin with.
Because it has to be in either Kirk's timeline. What if Kirk decided he wanted to go back to Enterprise B?
Yeah, right after he fell off and was just set himself right on that catwalk.
Yeah.
And been like, oh, I made it. I survived.
And then it changes history all.
Yeah, because, not really, because he still would have fell into the Nexus.
Well, no, what I'm saying is he could have.
Well, he would have just looped. He would have just kept looping. Like, oh, yeah, I fell in, but I'm going to go right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
He could have changed the way that he died.
So one of my biggest issues is I don't feel like there was much chemistry between Picard and Kirk.
Oh no! One of my notes that when I was watching it earlier today. Why is Kirk such an ass to Picard?
Well,
Like
and I
all
think
out.
when I did the ranking the movies, I kind of hit on this. When I was writing it, it was there was no chemistry. It wasn't there. It felt like two totally. They are. I get that they're two totally different actors. They're two totally different characters, but it definitely felt that way.
You got
Like,
more Shatner than you did
yeah,
Kirk.
I'll
I
go
really
back.
didn't like Shatner after Star Trek 3, but that's his performance of Kirk.
Kirk with the devil may care attitude, and Picard comes off is really more like a stick up his ass type character.
Let's try to finish on one positive.
Okay.
Your biggest positive of the movie.
I think I know what yours is, so I'm going to avoid that topic. So I guess like the thing I enjoyed most about this movie, not much of a takeaway, but Malcolm McDowell's performance is by far my favorite thing in this entire movie. Him and Patrick Stewart had their scenes together. It was just great. It was
I love their scene with Tim Ford.
Yes. That scene was short, but it was good. And what I did like about that scene is when he walks off and he does that sideways glance at Guinan.
Yeah.
And he knows who she is.
And he gets enraged.
Yes. And he storms off and she looks but doesn't see him. And that's all. And it's left at that. There's no further explanation. There's no confrontation between the two of them. She mentions that she knows him. Mm-hmm. But I don't. Does he mention at all anything else about her?
No.
You just get that one look, and then that's it. That's it. He's like, I don't
Makes
know.
me wonder if there's more floor footage somewhere.
There has to be.
Because it's kind of like how. What is it about Guinan's race that no other race likes? Q doesn't like Guinan's race. This guy.
He's the same race as her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess he doesn't like her because he knows her and thinks that she's gonna blow his cover, maybe, I would guess. But I feel like there has to be deleted scenes somewhere referencing something about their relationship.
I would like to point out real quick, Thomas Kopak or Kapachi. He was a character on the bridge of the Enterprise B who has been in Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Generations, Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and an episode of Enterprise.
Wow, so he is one of those reusable actors. Interesting. Who was he?
Who did he play? I was looking at his face. He was the comm officer.
Oh, I know who it is now. Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly. Kind of looks like the guy who plays RoboCop.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
A lot of Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's also in the X-Files, it looks like.
Oh.
So, what do you think my favorite part of the movie is?
Does it involve twins? In more ways than one.
All good things come in pairs.
Are there sisters involved?
Indeed. I'm never gonna pretend I don't appreciate the female form. I respect the female form. But growing up as a young man, I loved Klingon women. Even more so for their aggression, and the more you get to know what Klingon women are as you grow up.
What was the TNG episode, and I can't think of the title off the top of my head, where Riker goes on like this foreign exchange student program, and
it's the opposite of the episode where Kern comes on.
It happened the season before, but it's kind of like they mention that episode.
Mm-hmm.
But in that episode, you have the scene where Riker's sitting in the mess.
I will have him as my mate.
Yeah, he goes. She will, whatever the Klingon says to her, and he goes, which one he says, or one or both or something like that. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh, that's the only line I've ever heard Riker say that didn't come off as like creepy.
Yeah.
I will say now on a serious, this is the final appearance of the Duras sisters because, they are killed in this.
They explode.
And they were, for the most part, a very integral part of the TNG storyline through I would say the last 4 seasons of the series, and then they make a one-off appearance in the first season of DS9.
Mm-hmm.
The very beginning, I think it was like the second episode.
But I think there's some dialogue in that could lead to them going from DS9 to the events of this movie.
The one thing when I was little, I remember thinking it was so cool because when this movie came out, TNG was not off the air that long. It was maybe a year.
No.
Because I think it finished in like May of 93. And when did it come out in 94? Because they went right into shooting. As soon as they were done with All Good Things.
I think part of All Good Things was filmed at the same time as this movie.
Yeah, they had already started. I know before the season even finished, they were already in like pre-production on the movie, and they went right into filming as soon as it ended. There was no like, oh, this is the end. Cry, cry, cry. We'll miss you. They went right into 3 months of filming a movie.
Released November 18th, 1994.
So yeah, they would have been filming most of the summer.
The production times here. Let's see. Oh, it just shows some of the production places. Filming dates. March 24th, 94 to June 9th, 94.
I thought that was so cool as a little kid. Like, oh, we're a movie already.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought that was so cool.
Only to put the Enterprise into the ground.
Well, they did it in spectacular fashion.
But then you get First Contact, and oh my God.
Oh, the reveal of the Enterprise E in that movie was so coming out of like that nebula looking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was so good.
If we ever get to where, and we're going to talk about it, I know we are. If when we talk about First Contact, I don't know if I could say one bad thing about it.
I don't think so either. And that's what I was about to say is I don't think I'll have anything but like gushing because I just watched it not long ago. There's nothing really bad about the movie.
Everything lines up.
Yeah, it's so good from everything from how they got Worf onto the ship to the whole going in the past, time travel. I get it. It's a cliche for Star Trek to do a time travel thing, but they did it so well in this movie. It was so cool how they did it. But we're getting kind of off topic.
Yeah. I will say that at some point in Star Trek Generations, Section 31 had to show up because they have the remains of Kirk's body, which was...
Oh, I'm sure as soon as that accident happened, they probably had the first agents try to figure, I guarantee you they were one of the first ones there before. Because I always wondered, I was like, did they have like, I'm assuming investigators went to that planet to kind of go over the ship and what the remains are. But the coolest thing at the very end, we get, as many of you may or may not know, my favorite starship is in the final scene. It is the Nebula class starship, which is the USS Farragut that picks up Picard and Riker.
How old is the Farragut at this point? And is it the original Farragut? Because the original Farragut was the one that James D. Kirk was an officer.
Yeah, no, they're two different styles of ships. Now, that Nebula, the Farragut, gets destroyed in DS9.
Yeah.
It gets destroyed by a group of Klingon bird of prey when it was trying to do some kind of rescue or relief thing. But yeah, no, they're two different ships.
But that is a nice callback because Kirk was aboard the Farragut.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. But I like you get the full visual of the Nebula class in that. And I remember that was the first time seeing the movie was the first time I remember seeing that ship and going at the very end, sitting there on the big screen and going, wow, that's a cool
birdie.
looking ship. I said, what the?
See, I'll never give up to my Intrepid class.
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of people out there. Trust me. When I think I do, like, I'm gonna next when I do a top 10 list, like starships. I'm gonna get with you, and we'll figure something out, because you seem a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to like the ships and stuff. If it was up to me, I'd be like, oh, number 1 Nebula class. Well, thanks for watching. there shouldn't be any.
What was the E? The E was the no. Was she the Excelsior class?
No, the Excelsior class was the Excelsior that Hakata or Sulu was.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's the Excelsior class.
Anyways, that's a topic for another time.
Yep.
Guys, tell us what your favorite part of Star Trek Generations was. Worst favorite, not so favorite. They're us sisters. Tell us in the comments. Definitely leave us some comments. If there is a episode of any of the seasons and series of Star Trek, or one of the movies you want us to watch and review, please, by all means, leave us a comment. We will definitely take your suggestions first. Mm-hmm. Bob, do you have a date for us?
I do. So if you're talking about the Tuvix,
I am talking
live
about
watch along.
Live watch along.
I think we're going to look at so that way it gives me enough time to do some promotional stuff and get the Discord back out there. Which first, before I get into this, I want to say, a big thank you for the request by Yusef. He is one of our followers, and he is actually on the Discord, and he requested this up. He requested we do Star Trek Generation. So this,
Yusef, I hope we did it justice.
Yes, but I'm thinking we're looking at around Easter time.
Okay.
So that gives us about a month, a little over a month, so we can get things set up, and I can get. So sometime in there, I will have, when the first promotional video that I do comes out, it will have the exact date in there. So be watching for that.
Do you have your magic box in the room with you, or is it still in the car? Your couple of boxes that.
Oh, I will be. It's actually in the closet back there, because we are actually in the process of building a house. So we've been decluttering the house, but I have it in there, and I will be making a video that will come up on here and on TikTok, and it is the coolest thing. Mr. Vernon here last weekend went to a swap meet up in Kentucky, and he found me 72 of the special edition Star Trek The Next Generation VHS tapes. I'm about I want to say, I did the math, I kind of figured it's about 30 episodes short of the entire franchise, but there's like 140 episodes. Yeah.
So I'll just keep buying big boxes of them until we get the whole thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I will get that collection complete faster than I get. Hold on, I'll pull one of the tapes out. Oops, there they go. Before I get the individual season one done. So honestly, it's awesome, because I will have a complete set sooner than later of the Next Generation VHS tapes. Whether I ever get this one completed, I don't know. There's a lot of tapes, and it seems like there's a lot of rare ones that when you do find them, people are asking outrageous amounts for. So
I'll keep looking at the swap meets.
Well, you need to tell me when you go, because I need to hit that up with you.
Well, guys, gals, everything in between, we appreciate you stopping by. We hope you enjoyed our episode this week. Bob, where can you find us on the interwebs?
As of right now, you can find us for sure at TikTok, and you just search for the Star Trek Network, and it'll bring it right up. Also, we will be we will be reintroducing the Discord, because that will be where you will find the watch along for Tuvix is going to be on Discord. So be sure to be watching for that. I'll have a link in my TikTok bio. I'll have a link in the bio here. I'll have a link down below just go ahead and join. We have a lot of rooms in there, all kinds of topics, favorite episodes, favorite characters. You can submit your fan art, places for memes, places to ask questions, places just to discuss Star Trek. So everyone's welcome. Be looking out for the link, and we'll hope to see you there because we both interact in there. So one of us will always be answering a question.
Well, now that I got my William Riker hair going, guys, again, thank you, and everybody, have a great day.